Aftercare After Dark is intended for mature audiences. If you're under the age of 18, we would ask you to leave this broadcast immediately and patiently await your formal invite to the grown folks table. We sometimes discuss topics that can be triggering for some. Please refer to the show's notes for episode-specific trigger warnings and resources. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aftercare After Dark. My name is Miss G.
And I'm Yolanda. We're two sisters helping each other navigate these kink streets. Aftercare is time spent communicating and taking care of your partner after sex and or play. But who does this vital work when you're single? We are here for each other and those of you who are also exploring. Tonight's episode is the year in review, 2023, our dating, I hate this word, journey. We need a better word.
Our dating adventures.
Our dating adventures.
Escapades.
That's the word I was looking for.
Escapades.
Our dating escapades. Because everybody's on a journey, whether they're going somewhere or not. And I'm like, stop it. Words mean things.
Today's episode is our 2023 year in review, what we've learned this past year, and what our dating escapades look like.
So rolling into my villain era, a friend of mine was like, there's a place for people of your disposition, because she asked me about what my fantasies were. And I said, I don't think they're normal. It starts and ends with a pod that has Keanu Reeves and Tina Torres in it. That's what it is. There's three of us and we get up to shenanigans in our townhouses. And she's like, oh, so you're poly. I didn't know there was a word for the thing that I wanted. So polyamory, I wanted to explore that. I wrote out a profile. I started off on Hinge July 31st. I was on Field August 3rd. And then around September 20th, I joined OkCupid. So those are my three sources for dating. And I kept records of everything because I'm an engineer. That's what I do, systems. And so I've come up with a dating system. The second half of 2023, intentionally dating, intentionally spending time on these apps, doing my vetting process, and going from there.
My year was a bit hectic. I ended a relationship dynamic with my ex-sub, and it was a process because I broke things off in February, but I didn't cut him off till July.
When did you put yourself back on the market as single?
Soon after that, it was a hot mess. It was definitely one of those wake-up moments. It was a wake-up call because I had realized at the time that my actions was not meeting my promises to myself. The things that I wanted was not matching up with the things that I was doing. I wanted intimacy. I wanted a relationship. I wanted commitment. I wanted loyalty. I wanted those things. And I was settling for somebody who couldn't meet those. The more I drug it out, the angrier I got. Not necessarily at him, but at myself. And that was definitely my wake-up call because I've been in that self-loathing position before a long time ago. And for me to find myself back in it, it was a very eye-opening moment for me. When I went through it the first time, I didn't recognize the toxicity of it, right? And then this second time around, it was very distinct. And I was like, I cannot believe that I'm back here.
So in July, you were newly single.
So on my birthday, I made him take me out on our last date, and I ended it the next morning.
So that relationship lasted how long?
18 months about.
So significant. And my backstory is I've been celibate for the last 6 years. I haven't had a relationship of note, which means more than 3 or 4 dates in 17 years. I'm single. I've been single, and unattached for a very, very long time. So we started dating in the summer. It was hot girl summer for the both of us, right?
Yep, we got back out on the dating streets.
We reconnected after 8 years.
like September,
yes.
October.
I had a question. It's like, is she? And yay! See, now everybody gets to enjoy this because we share interests, we share passions. We don't share the same goals. And in order to know what our goals are, you have to listen to the last episode. So we're going to jump into the numbers. How many first dates did you go on?
I went on 3 first dates this year between July and December 2023 when I decided to get back on the dating streets.
What was the best date and what was the worst date?
I think my best first date was this most recent one, just because of the mental stimulation that came with it. The 2 other first dates before that were with young men who didn't know themselves and weren't in a position to meet me where I'm at.
My best first date was with the worst person, but we had a great time. We went for a walk, we had sushi, we had a lot in common. We joined the same cult. We talked about our service. That was the best first date with the worst person. The worst first date. I haven't actually had a bad one though. Like I had one that got weird because this person was not who they said they were. They weren't liberal in their profile. This is a hinge date. They said they didn't want children. They wanted children. I found all of this out in the first 5 minutes. Your whole profile is a lie. Like your whole profile is a lie, my guy. You are a conservative dude. You are a Catholic dude. He said he was agnostic and you want children. And I know this entirely too quickly. How do I end this date? So I came super lefty Yolanda. We should all be socialists, Yolanda. I'll either get really heated and leave, or he'll get really heated and leave, right? That's how you handle conservatives. That's not what happened. He got excited by it. And the more I went into my politics, the more excited he became, and physically excited, tempting, exciting. And then it became a game to me. I was like, really? Old boy had to go to the bathroom twice. I was like, oh, yes. Did I not tell you about John? Yes.
I don't think necessarily the politics was what was getting him off. It most likely was the passion behind the discussion and having to be mentally stimulated by an educated woman who knows how to use her words and knows how to articulate herself. I see that quite often.
He was very excited, and I was just like, it's 10:30 in the morning. We're outside on a patio. This is brunch. Sir, put that away. Those are my two stories, but I had a great first date with a terrible person, and I had a weird first date, which I could put as my worst first date just because it was not going to be a connection, and it never was. So it was just a first date.
My first dates are definitely, I have a process. I have my karaoke bars that I go to, and they usually have everyone meet me there because it's my spot. I'm comfortable there. If I don't like you, I'm here. I know the bartenders, I know the DJs, I know the staff. Everybody there knows me. So it's definitely a safe place for me. If I feel like I want to end the date or things aren't going smoothly or whatever, I can easily just end things and still have fun. When you ask like worst dates, I'm like, not really. My worst first dates are in my comfort zone around people that I like anyway. So even if it doesn't work out or we're not a good match for each other, I'm still gonna go have fun over here.
I gotta take notes. I need a haunt because I actually need that kind of comfort too. I've been showing up early, like early, half an hour early to my dates to get acclimated. I know where the exits are. I make contact with the staff. I know where the ladies' room is. But having a stable place where everyone knows your name, cheers, right? I'm ancient. I don't know if you get that reference. It was a TV show that might actually be healthier for me, is to have a static place. Hey, this is where I'm at, and I know everybody. And if things don't work out, I can send you on your way, and I can continue on.
All these places have the regulars there, and the regulars know me, and so even though we're not like intimate friends outside of it, those are my bar friends. It's my karaoke bar friends and my bar family. Everyone that I've done that with has always found it very attractive that I've never relied on them to have fun. They've always found it very attractive that I just went and did my thing. You're just a guest. You're just a voyeur. You're just invited to sit and watch how I do my thing. And so I established very early on that I don't need you to have fun. I am the life of the party and you're just here to watch. I don't think that it was something that I was doing consciously. I was just going with my comfort zone and like utilizing my time. We don't get a lot of free time. So when I make free time, I'm actually making free time for myself. I'm just inviting you along. So if you're not what I want, you're not what I'm looking for, you can sit there and watch me have fun.
Cool. So how many second dates did you go on?
2. The first second date I went on was when I ended things and I just like put the boundary down and said, hey, we're not a good match. It was a little sad because there was a young man, unemployed, life imploded, living with his parents, and was like unemployed. I was very conscious of how he was very attracted to me. And I knew I needed to establish this boundary like immediately. Because again, the second date was I was already out. I just invited him along. And so it was really sad because when I said, hey, we're not a good match, I just want you to know, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out. I hope you had a good time, and I hope I showed you a good time and that you enjoyed yourself. And he actually started tearing up. He started tearing up, and he said, but I really like you. Like, I'm sorry, buddy. Join the club. You liking me does not mean I'm supposed to like you back like that. It just doesn't work that
It's
way.
your prerogative. I'm in a chat with someone right now where like they're like are on this tour and we don't get along. And I was like, I'm confident enough to say this isn't going to work and walk away. I can do that. Some people can't. When I'm noticing the difference in behavior, I'm talking to a lot of women to gauge their experiences because I'm new to this. Oh, you have walked out on a date before? Absolutely. I was not comfortable. I have said this isn't going to work. I don't think we're a romantic match. I have these all day because I don't have the artifice that some people have in covering that up. Hashtag fix your face, Yolanda. Like that is who I am. If I'm not having a good time, you know it. You know it. If I'm not into you, you know it. It's very, very, very apparent to the people that I spend time with what my mood or disposition is at any given time, even if you are a complete stranger.
We're not a
It's
good
that
match.
easy.
It's funny because the more we're talking, the more my brain is remembering. I actually have been on 5 first dates this year, 5 first dates in 2023.
I
Like I said,
told you.
the fact that my brain doesn't remember just goes to show how lasting, well, how much impression these people have left on me because I'm out doing my thing anyway. So I'm already having fun here. You just get to watch me.
That might be a strategy. I'm going to, well, one, I need to find a haunt, a semi-local place that I go on a regular basis. I don't have one. I've been taking baby steps everywhere, finding community support groups for the gays. I'm going. But even still, like, I think I was watching a bunch of TikToks about like people who prefer not to leave their house. And let me tell you, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. Like, staying home is a thing. I can Olympic sport, gold medal for Yolanda. I can stay home. I went to investigate a gym because one, I want to get back into the gym. Two, I will meet people at the gym. You can't have a social life if you're not social. So for me, I went on 6 second dates. So we started out with 10 first dates, 11 individuals, because, I got up to some nonsense. And then I had 6 second dates. Where did you meet your date?
They were all dating apps. One was off FetLife, Tinder, Hinge, Field, and then FetLife.
I got the most dates off of Field. I did not know that. 2 from Hinge, 2 first dates from Hinge, 3 from OkCupid, and 5 from Field.
I've been enjoying the people I've been meeting off of Field, even though we're not what we're looking for. Some of them have moved into casual friendship, and it's decent quality people.
I haven't made any friends.
Or platonic. Sorry, maybe casual friendship's not the right word.
We are going to have an episode that defines terms. We talked about this. Okay, so how many did you end up where you were dating?
One. I don't think I want to talk about it.
Fix your face, G.
One. I don't think I want to talk about it.
We don't have to go in there. I had 2. Well, I've spent quality time at your home. I only spent the night with one of them. So I ended up with 2. I am seeing someone that lasted for precisely 7 weeks. They both ended at 7 weeks. I've got the spreadsheet. It tells me how long these things last. Okay, so how many times did you catch feeling? Good, bad, or indifferent?
I think 1. It has to count. Even though it wasn't romantic feelings, my feelings got hurt. So that tells me that I caught feelings of some sort. And we'll cover that in another episode. Again, and I'm like annoyed about the whole thing.
So I caught feelings twice. Once was right out of the gate, never saw the person again, and got big mad. And then the second one, I'm actually still recovering from. Today, I caught feelings. So I caught feelings twice. How many times did you break things off?
Does the we're not a good match fall under those things?
Yes. You broke up. You said, I don't want to see you again. We're not a good match.
I'll say 4 times.
And for me, it was 7. How many times were you ghosted?
None.
I was ghosted once. I didn't know this until I sat down and started thinking about it.
Does being blocked count as ghosted? What's ghosted? Ghosted is just like they don't show up.
Ghosted is like you sent the last text, maybe asking a question, and they
just
never.
Disappear.
I had a ghosting after a first date. I thought went well.
When does ghosting apply? After a meeting or during the talking stage?
Both.
Okay. See, I have mixed feelings about that because I've had plenty of people like ghost me.
You can have like a whole pen pal thing with someone for a month and then they stop talking to you.
That's ghosting.
That's ghosting. Okay, if you just met and you didn't get into, I would say 3 or 4 conversations. So I had a question in here about significant contact. I did have significant back and forths with people that never ended up in us going on a date. So one of the promises that I made to myself was don't ghost anyone because I don't like how that feels. I think it is horrible. And even if it's awkward, just stand firm and say, I think it's best, or I feel it's best, or I know it's best for me to say goodbye. It was nice meeting you. And so I have put an end to 7. 7 times I said, this isn't going to work out. I got ghosted after a first date once, but in online communications, I've always been the one to say goodbye.
I haven't gotten ghosted.
Okay, how many times did you get dumped?
One. That was the one that got blocked. Again, annoyed.
You make that face every time. I got dumped twice. I caught feelings once, and one of those dumpings was that first time I got hung up on the phone. Someone got upset. They got big mad, thin skinned, and quite literally fell asleep 15 minutes later. It was fun. I haven't thought about it. It's a funny story to tell because of why it happened, but it didn't bother me. My fifis got hurt. My fifis definitely got hurt with this last one. I go from mourning and almost relationship. We were almost there, like definitely making plans for the future. We were setting down a routine. We had negotiated for how much time we were going to spend with each other. We were talking about doing different explorations. And this wasn't future forecasting. I know exactly what that is. It was quite literally getting prepared adventure. It was something that was definitely going to happen. Part of which did happen. We were working towards something. So part of me mourned
Hope.
it wasn't even hope. So this is why I'm saying that it's not future forecasting because I know that's a symptom of certain relationships. It wasn't impossible tasks coming in the future that a person was incapable of doing. These are things that we were working towards and physically moving towards, investing time to research.
You're both
Yes,
intimate. You got into the things. You're gonna
yeah.
mourn
So
that connection.
I mourned that because it was the first person that I felt comfortable enough to really express in detail desires and wants, coming across new physical sensations that I had never felt before and saying, oh, wow, I like fervently like that. It was the first, I've never been in love. And so I felt like there was a possibility of that coming. It wasn't there yet, but I looked forward to seeing him. I looked forward to our time together. I looked forward to making plans. I did make plans. It was romantic. It was very romantic. For the very first time in my life, I was able to communicate and felt free to communicate all of the things,
You
needs,
felt
wants,
safe.
desires. I felt very, very safe. So there's the mourning part. And then there's the I'm angry part. For me, I have a hard time with people who even lie about the little things because then it has me questioning, was it all a lie? Were you coming to me with a persona? Did I know you at all? I don't like surprises. I really don't. I'm not that person. I am finding that there were little lies along the way. And because there were little lies, I'm wondering how many of the big lies I was told. Whether it ended just because he could not maintain the facade. I think about that a lot. Did I even really know this person, even though we spent this time together, even though we were intimate, even though we did share things and we were very cognizant and observant of each other? Well, if I'm paying attention to what makes him laugh, if I'm paying attention to what makes him feel good, and he's paying attention to things that people don't notice about me for years, and he's picked up on it in a couple of weeks, if he's making note of my quirks, if he's trying to figure out how to make me laugh, what does that do to my perception of a person that might not have been telling the truth about anything? It starts messing with your sense of, are you a good judge of character? Can you figure any of this out?
That's just like hitting me, cutting straight into my heart, saying those words to me, because that was my dynamic that I ended. Nobody talks enough about the level of self-doubt, the rabbit hole that you go down when trust has been violated. When your trust is violated, you literally like dive down into this rabbit hole and question every single conversation, every single moment, every single smile, every touch. It's terrible.
So it's a hard thing to sit with. There's sadness and there's anger and there's a little bit of grief. I've never been in a dynamic that I've really affirmatively enjoyed. This is the first time in my life where I know that I want someone to be very enthusiastic about spending time with me, and I want to be very enthusiastic about spending time with them, regardless of what that configuration looks like. I want to be wanted. And I also want to want. My previous experiences, including a 7-year marriage, was I was doing what everybody else did. I was doing what was expected of me. I was doing what other people wanted from me. I was made to feel bad if I didn't do the things that other people wanted for me as a consummate outsider, not valid for whatever particular reason. So I had a lot of relationship behaviors that were accommodating to what it was expected of me rather than what I wanted. I'm figuring out at my big age, 48 years old, exactly what I want. I've never expressed needs, wants, or boundaries of any sort. Now is the time that I'm doing that. So it was the first time in my life where I was like, I have positive feelings for a person. It's not neutral to dread, it is positive. I'm happy to be here. I look forward to being here. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I went. It lasted for 7 weeks. It's been over for almost 7 weeks, and I'm still kind of mourning it because it was the best
It
I
was
ever felt.
real.
It
It
was
was
real to
real.
me. Okay, so our 5 lessons learned in no particular order.
My first one is when someone shows you who they are, believe them. You've seen this everywhere. We've seen this everywhere. And this last year was the first time where it just like clicked with me. It takes you an average a year to fully know someone's character. Oftentimes we see what we want to see and we believe what we want to believe because we fall in love with the ideal of the person, not necessarily the person itself, a little too soon. So when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
I have gotten into the habit reviewing the first date after it happens while it's still fresh in my mind, and then matching it up to our written communication. Was this person the person they are in their profile, the person that I spent time chatting with, and the person who I met? If there are too many discrepancies, then the alarm bells start going off. Or if I hear the same thing over and over again, I was a serial cheater would be an example of it. You are a serial cheater. People will tell you these, but you do have to pay attention to what goes on instead of being like swept up in the feelings. So I'm very much attuned to, I believe your trash behavior. I do. I'm going to hold you to it. Okay, for me, it's leaning on my friends heavily. I cannot thank you enough, Dee. I cannot thank you enough for holding space for me, for answering questions. I know some of them are like, she don't know anything.
That doesn't cross my mind at all whatsoever.
I feel a little underdeveloped in certain ways. Can y'all tell me what this means? Actually, I do have one of those like on the fly questions now. So every time someone sends you a picture, do you have to send one back?
No.
Okay.
It's a form of phishing.
Really? Okay. Thank you. See, on the fly, I don't know.
That falls into covert contracts. When you do things with a hidden expectation of something return, with a hidden uncommunicated expectation, what does that do? It just opens up the door to be disappointed and let down. Those are hidden contracts. I think women do it too, but we don't experience that because we're experiencing men. But like a lot of men do that as a way to fish for return, for favors to be returned, except they don't communicate it clearly.
Okay. Because I'm like, you're sitting on your couch with your dog.
That's why my stage name is Jade. I'm jaded, okay?
Okay. So there are certain social things that I don't understand. But going back into it, I got very excited about someone. 5 minutes later, I had to let the whole world know. Oh no, he's just a fuckboy. That's what he is, especially in the age of social media. But even beforehand, I believe in toxic positivity, only sharing the bright side of things. And then when things go wrong, you hide it. And that's where shame goes. And I've learned not to have shame about these things. I can get excited about a person, a situation, a possibility for something. When it goes wrong, I can also share that. I took an L today and it's not the worst thing in the world. It's okay. My relationship, especially with my female friends, they're strong, they're solid. Being vulnerable in that, I have learned how to do that. I've learned how to ask. I'm like, who do I know? I have all of these vanilla friends and they're like all excited for me because I'm out and like doing my thing, but they can't offer me guidance. They don't have the experience. They don't have the temperament. You have the temperament. You have the experience. We have some of the same desires. We've shared those things between each other. So we can take care of each other because we have this in common. Well, we have a lot in common. This in particular is not something that even the closest of girls talk about because they might not meet at the same place. They might not have the same terminology. technology. They might not have the same candidness or openness about sharing at all. So people know the very surface level. I'm out, I'm poly, and I'm exploring that in my dating. My sister asked me, and my mother too, well, what if you meet somebody you really like? I've committed, I've made this time bound to doing this for a year. So I'm going to keep seeing people. I like you. I'm going to be consistent with you. We're going to make promises to each other. And I realize I'm going to keep them, but I'm still going to continue to date. I'm going to do that.
The people you love and the people who love you want to show up for you. And so when you're not asking for help or when you're not letting them know that they're needed, you're denying them the opportunity to show up for you. Because when someone loves you, they want to show up for you. And we, as disabled veterans, we've lost brothers and sisters. You see it everywhere. If you're struggling, reach out. If you're struggling, reach out. And I don't subscribe to that. If I think about you, I reach out. I very much believe that when you cross my mind, there's a reason. And every single time somebody crosses my mind, I reach out. And every single time I do that, they're going through some shit. Just know that the people who love you want to be there for you. They want to show up for you.
Absolutely. I come from a background of hearing all the time that you're too much. I also come from a background of not having my needs met. I got into this experiment because I was naked and afraid with all of my friends. So I found out there's a place. Well, this is one of the lessons. So I'll move into my second lesson. There are places where I can find what I'm looking for. I haven't found it yet, but I'm getting closer, getting better at discerning. I'm getting better at my screening process. I'm getting better at defining my needs and wants early on. And I'm meeting more people that are closer to being where I would like to be. So I'm getting better at this. Okay. The tail end of the year was kind of trash because I'm still single, but I was able to foster two ongoing things, which is not something I could do before. So that's a lesson learned.
Adding on to that, there's a place for everything. There's someone for everyone, and there's a place for what you want. If you want casual sex, guess what? There's swinger clubs. If you want hookups and no strings attached and casual sex, Tinder. That's where everybody goes. Field is for BDSM. Field is for kinksters. Field is for poly people. That's why they're on Field. I have encountered at least two people who've tried to use Field as a hookup app. That's just not the demographic. There's something for everyone. You're allowed to want what you want. You just shouldn't be putting that kind of expectation on somebody else
Know where
who
you're
cannot.
advertising.
Don't put that kind of expectation on somebody else who doesn't want the same thing. And this culture of ridiculing women for not wanting NSA and for not wanting one night stands and for not wanting casual sex. We're allowed to not want that.
And there's a section for what I'm skeptical about. But hard no's are casual and NSA. That's not what I'm here for. I wish, but that's not how I'm built. I am built for connection. I am built for intimacy, even though I have a hard time with it. That's what gets me going. That's what gets me excited. I am not here for the casual anything.
It's such an admirable thing watching you going through this because you're tackling this with intention. You're going in with boundaries. You're going in with what you want. You're going in with vision. And that's a testament to how much time you've put into learning about yourself and doing things for yourself and like knowing yourself. I'm just at 33 years old starting the learning about myself and what I want and all those things because I've been afraid of intimacy my whole life. That's really what we're all looking for. We're all just looking for safety and love. We're just afraid to admit that to ourselves. And this is what that looks like.
And give yourself a lot of credit because I was maybe 15 steps back from where you are now when I was 33. Like I was in a hole. This has been a process. And I've been intentionally dating for 6 months. And to be perfectly honest, this is the first time that I have dated. I've gone on a date or few over the years, but I never said, oh, I'm going to look for my people. I'm going to find my thing. I never did that. When I was explaining the lack of relationship history, it was my bad on not putting effort into my relationships. The bad actors out there that I encountered that made me like roll into a shell for a year or two or three or six, bad on them for being bad actors, having ill intentions towards me in a relationship dynamic. Bad on you for making me feel bad. That's your fault. My fault was not putting the work in. Your fault is having trash behaviors. Like I got burned right out of the gate. I didn't crawl back into my hidey hole. That's my big win.
Words without consistent action is just air pollution. That quoted by me. I should copyright that, trademark that. So this is kind of backtracking. When you don't have healthy parental guidance, you don't have anyone to hold you accountable to your words. And so you can't keep doing this. You can't keep saying what you want and then settling for this. That's just not adding up. You're suffering. It hurts. And so I'm now finally reached a stage where I'm just like, this is what you want. Hold yourself accountable to it. And I also need to surround myself with people who are going to hold me to my word as well, too. So I am still working on it. I want to get back into the whole, like, say what you want and then keep to it and stick to it. And then, but still give yourself some wiggle room. Give yourself some wiggle room. Don't ghost people. Don't just not show up. If you wake up in the morning and you're not feeling great, check in with them and let them know. That's all. Just being respectful of other people's time because those people are expecting you. And so every time you don't meet the expectation that you already communicated that you were going to meet, that's trust being corroded. Words without consistent action is just air pollution.
And this is why I'm doing a lot more talking, because the accountability piece is where I'm at. I have to share the embarrassing moments. I have to share the L's. I have to share that I got gamed again. I have to share those parts. I'm only half a human being when I don't show you the grind. I don't show you that I have needs. I'm a ghost of a person. I'm a facade. The accountability piece for me is saying, I'm not going to sit in my head and stew and give people benefit of the doubt. I'm going to show you. You're going to be like, yeah, girl, he's full of shit. I'm like, okay, I thought so. And you have that confirmation. It's outside of yourself. You're not tearing yourself apart for no good reason. So that accountability part, that's the one that stuck with me.
It's just always easier having that second opinion from a detached source, right? So oftentimes we see things through the lenses of hurt. And usually when we're hurt, it's our inner child that's being hurt. When we go down that path, that's where you are. And so you need that impartial party to kind of like lead you back into clarity too. Because when you're looking at it from a hurt lens, you're looking at it from the lens of a hurt inner child. That's literally what it is. It's not a bad thing. That's why it's important to have clear eyes from other people. And I cannot express to you how much I treasure you and I cherish you and I value you for being that person for me, to talk me off a ledge when I'm like that.
No, we're talking about data here. No, we can do this all day, and we have done this all day. I don't know if I could have sustained this or if I would have come out of this in one piece mentally without our talks, without this back and forth, without the consideration. And we don't always agree. We don't agree on a lot of things. So it's not about cheerleading in the classic sense where we're just parroting each other or we're living in a vacuum. We are very different people. We have similar backgrounds. We have things in common, but we offer each other perspective. And thank you, the gratitude, the validation, the words to like think about. I think about things. I love thinking about things. You know, we have each other on these things and it's an ongoing discussion. This is why we're here. This is why we're here. This dovetails into my fourth one. Words mean things. And many people do not mean what they say or say what they mean. And I'm finding that process, you have to spend some time in chat. Then you have to spend some time in person. Then you have to spend time in between the first date and the second date communicating with that person to really suss out what they want. Some people are not admitting what they want to themselves. They are in denial about what they want, or people are liar, pants on fires, like trying to get over and will use the vocabulary that you bring to the table against you. They are weaponizing their therapy. They are weaponizing what they've learned along the way. So they're the bad actors. They're the people that really don't know themselves. And then there are the people, you nailed it on the head, covert contract people, where they are setting up a rhythm of things that they expect from you. And then they will call you when there's a change in that behavior. And just like I said with the pictures, and they're not explicit pictures. They're just daily snapshots of whatever. I am not in the habit of taking pictures of myself all day. I think part of it is a vetting thing to see that you have a home. So So I'll send one back, say like, no, I'm not living in my car. I have a space that's mine. I know that impetus on sending pictures because I had a very long chat with someone who was homeless. And it took me a while and I was like, oh wait, I'm listening to the rhythm of your words. He didn't have to send me any pictures for me to know that he didn't have a place to live. And that's a non-starter for me. I have been broke. I have been underwater. I have been in financial dire straits. So this does not come from a high horse position. I've been there. My priority and the priority that I expect of people, especially if they have children, is spend your time and your energy getting yourself out of that situation and taking care of your commitment. Date later.
Because people like that are using people as a distraction, as a way, as like, again, false sense of dopamine. It's a distraction, it's escapism. We're just hurting everybody doing that shit. You know, I've definitely also been in that, not the homeless situation, but the looking for the escapism. And I've hurt my fair share of people as well, too.
Okay, what's your next one?
It's funny because you kind of like already hit it. The most dangerous person you'll ever love is someone who doesn't love and value themselves. How you treat yourself is how you're going to treat everyone around you. And I have become very aware and very sensitive to this because of my dynamic that I ended in July. I've become very sensitive to patterns of self-loathing. I've been there. We've all been there. And that's not a place that I want to go. I've had to work really, really hard to learn how to love myself because I never learned that. It wasn't anything that I was taught or raised to feel about myself. My value was heavily reliant on my performance, on how I was able to perform for others. My grades, awards, the way I took care of my family, that never taught me how to value and how to love myself. So this is what that is. And how somebody treats themselves is how they're going to treat you. And it goes back into when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. When somebody shows up and I can look at you and tell that your room is nasty and you live in filth, you're not going to change for me.
Yeah, I've gotten good and selfish. I'm an empty nester. I don't have children to look after. I am close to family, but they are not here. This is my house. That's been an interesting part of the journey too, as far as what the end game looks like when you've already done the things that were expected of you. I got married, didn't like it. It ended. I reproduced. They are whole adult human beings. They can buy me a beer. That's how old they are. And I know it is a little bit of a gut punch, but it's also like I can do what I want. Like a lot of my non-working time is spent with wonder and exploring and doing the reading that I want to do, doing the hiking that I want to do. I do a lot of hikes, finding out about myself, being playful, and also dating. So this rolls into the very last thing that I have. I learned that I have the ability to form romantic bonds. I've never been what anybody would call in love. I've liked people. I've enjoyed people's company. I have been married. I have been in long-term relationships on either end of that marriage, but I was never, my attachment wasn't romantic. It was, and my family thinks this person is good enough. This person thinks that I'm good enough. And this goes into my own self-loathing. I am not abhorrent to this person. This person accepts me. And therefore, I'm going to be a superwoman to this person instead of the, I want to be here. I affirmatively want and desire this person. I look forward to whatever it is. I don't have anxiety. And we had difficult conversations. So it was intimacy. I've never had that. I've never had that. I've had all of these very long relationships, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. That was my marriage, was 7 years, and never had a romantic attachment. I was just doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was actually kind of surprised. I know myself. I know that I've always been a little bit different. I do identify as someone on the ACE scale. Sometimes it's gray, where romantic attachments and relationships are nowhere on my radar. I've got other things to do. They are not a priority for me. I'm not thinking about it. You know, I'm living my best middle-aged West Indian auntie life. That's what I'm doing. Periods like now, I call them seasons. I very much want to form attachments. I very much want to find people that I want to spend time with naked. Like I want to do those things. I knew that I wanted to do these things. I wanted to do the activities. I did not know that my feelings would come with it. I did not know that I was even capable of having those feelings because I'd never felt them before. I have been attracted to people, but I have never acted on it or knew how to act on it. Now I'm learning how to act on it and finding that my emotional range is
A lot
a
deeper.
lot deeper than I thought it was. I caught some feelings. So part of the feeling is like, I'm big mad. I'm like, I don't care about nobody. Romantically, especially when it comes to these males. Okay. With women it's harder. I've had women breakups and not romantic, platonic friendship breakups that like devastate me. Just because my friendships are long. I don't call everybody friend. There are people that I know, there are people that I've met, and then I have my friends and I care so deeply. So I've had girlfriend breakups that sent me in a spiral. I mourn the loss of those relationships. As far as these men's is concerned, I ain't never cared. I have never cared.
So partnership is not 50-50. Partnership is the mutual desire to serve each other, to create the space for someone to flourish in whatever capacity that is. That could be friendship, that could be business, that could be romantic, that could be family. That's what partnership is. It's the mutual agreement and the mutual desire to serve each other's needs and or wants. Because before this, I never truly understood what marriage was for, what partnerships was for. I was dating because I didn't like being alone. We share a similar background in where we're the oldest girls and we were the caretakers and the ones who raised everybody. I was never allowed to be selfish. I was never allowed to put myself first. I heavily relied on men to feel loved. That put me in a position where I was looking for love in all the wrong places and I was settling for attention when it wasn't what I needed. That was my number 4.
Listen, we are in the volume business, okay? I have scoured my feed for something that I've been interested in. I've listened to some of these podcasts about relationships. I've listened to some relationship coaches. I have sussed out what's going on out there. So there are like different dating methodologies. One is burning the haystack. That's the one that's trending. Of course, wink, wink. I think it only works for a certain segment of our population, and both of us are too brown for all of that. But it's working from the framework that you are going to go on less dates. Be very discerning about who you spend any amount of time. You are going to really rack through these profiles and pass on 100 of them before you give one person a shot. So you're going to go on less dates. You're going to become very discerning. How do you find a needle in a haystack? You burn the haystack. And I don't think that works for everyone. For me, it's a little bit different. It is volume, which means I'm making plans with you. I'm making plans with someone else. I'm seeing you. I'm still on these apps. I'm not shutting it down. Everybody knows what I'm doing from the first conversation. Did you read my profile? Are you in agreement with the state that I'm in? Because these are non-negotiable. That's before we meet, before we set a plan, before we get to know each other. My profile isn't particularly long. It's 400 words. It's very, very short, but it's jam-packed with the things that are important to me. It's not all no, 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 but my hard nose take up a good 100 words of that. I'm not your girl if you are looking for casual. I'm not your girl if you're looking for NSA. We can talk about FWB and we'll have a show on that. I'm highly skeptical of the FWB dynamic. So we would have to talk and negotiate. I've gotten very good at the negotiation thing. We're going to meet each other and know, at least on my part, that I am being earnest. This is what I want and what's acceptable to me and whatever. Now, the things that people try to get over with, again, a topic for another show. We've become very discerning, but I'm keeping this going. I put a time on this, time bound. I've actually extended it for the whole of 2024 because I'm getting better at it. So like, I'm wondering if my data is going to look different from the previous year because I've gotten better at finding my people. I've found a stride, the wording. I've tweaked how I introduce myself and how much time I'm going to spend with you. I did this last week. We've been talking for 5 days. We have not made plans. I have tried to initiate making plans with you and you were very wishy-washy about it. It was nice chatting with you. I'm going to say goodbye. We're not wasting time with people who are going to waste my time. In my profile, it clearly states I would rather meet sooner than later. I'm not here for pen pals. I'm not here to have the endless text. We're not doing that. We're going to meet because I got to see you. Got to see how you move. My system, I continually cast my net wide. I've met varieties of configurations, met a couple of ladies. I think I'm like, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have my first girlfriend.
My last one, waiting for the right person to act right is a myth. Your current relationships are training grounds for the one that you want. And I'm learning to lean onto my friendships for this part, because my friendships are absolutely an intimate, safe space for me to unload and purge. And I'm also leaning into my familial relationships and my sibling relationships with my sisters. There's a lot there. And I'm finding that I'm in the anger phase, right? I'm in the anger phase of healing. Everybody wants to talk about healing, but nobody wants to talk about the stages of healing. My friendships and my sisterhoods, my brother friendships as well too, is a safe place for me to work that out, because they love me and they're not attached to these things. They just want to hold space for me. But my sister relationships are where I'm working through those things, because it's equally as triggering for them as it is for me to have to communicate through these big feelings. And it's not something that I want to wait to work on with the right person, because I have self-sabotage patterns. I don't want to bring that into my romantic partnership or romantic relationships in the future. That is our 2023 year in review. It was quite the year. I'm calling 2023 the purge. I didn't realize until just about recently how much loss I've had, how much relationship loss I've had. And I didn't realize until recently that I still have not properly mourned those. So it's definitely on the horizon. Do you have any last words, Miss Yolanda?
There's still trash out there, but I'm more optimistic. I would say, what did I hit my low on Sunday? And I was like, I'm done. Just keep it moving. Keep it moving. I need this aftercare. I need to talk to you about these things, because otherwise it can get dark. It can get bleak. My attachment style, detach. Like, we're done with relationships. Move on to something else. Get a PhD. Do something else. Do not worry about other people, which is a lonely place. It's an isolating place, and it's a dangerous place to be in. So thank you for holding space for me. Thank you for working these things out. This isn't the only time we show up. We don't just show up once a week. We are here for each other continuously, and we have little emergencies that we have text
411-911.
So we encourage to whoever is listening out there to become a little bit more organized and more intentional about what you're doing. We both talked about really discovering what we need, what we want, and what we require in a relationship, and knowing those things, investigating those things, looking for trends and looking for patterns is helpful. It's helpful for me because I'm a dork, but whatever your modality is, if it's long journaling, keep track of these things because it's helpful. Also, fun friend. I had fun doing this, and I could not have done this without Fishty. So thank you again.
Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. We hope you enjoyed listening in. We hope that you were entertained by our stories and escapades. We wish you all health and good fortune in 2024. Sweet dreams. Good night. I hope you, as the audience, enjoyed our episode tonight. And if you have any thoughts, any input, if you disagree with some of the things we said, please feel free to share. Email your thoughts in, comment down below, leave a comment, and we'll read them. So thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Good night.